Hey everyone, it's Regina at Starter PPC. We often work with new businesses that are just starting out, or maybe they've been around for a few years, but they haven't really pushed for growth yet. They haven't really done the Google Ads thing or done any ads really. So we often get asked the question, is my business now ready for Google Ads? What do I need to do to make sure that I'm not doing Google Ads too soon? So I wanted to run through a couple of the main items that I run through when I'm trying to answer that question for them, to decide, like, is Google Ads right for you at this time? So the first thing that I look at is their website, of course. If your website doesn't convert, no amount of Google Ads expertise is going to be able to get it to work, right? So it has to be an up-to-date design, right? It has to look like someone cares about it and someone has been keeping the design up to date. More importantly, it has to have a call to action above the fold. It has to have some clearly laid out sections that show what you do and why they should care, and why you're better than the competitor. That's a good rule of thumb. Sometimes if I'm not sure about the site, I'll just do a Google search as though I'm looking for that product or service, and I'll look at the other competitors' websites. And if your website doesn't look as good or better than the competitors that are also running ads, you're not ready. Okay, so do a couple of Google searches, and you'll know. The other thing to think about too is if your website is converting good enough, it's going to convert less good with cold leads from Google Ads. When you run ads, these people who are seeing your ad, they're ready to buy. They want to buy now, right? Because they have search intent that proves that they are ready. They have wallet in hand. And not only that, but they just came from a search results page where there are plenty of other competitors willing to sell them the same thing. So you have to hold up to, your website has to hold up to the competition. It has to have a high conversion rate. People that come direct to your site, people that come from referrals, even people that come organically are going to convert at a much higher rate than a cold lead will. So just keep that in mind. Your website has to be extra good. Along those same lines, make sure that your sales funnel is good too, right? Like I said, cold leads, they're going to be ready to buy now. If you're lead generation business and you have a phone number on your site and you're not answering the phones, they're going to leave and call the next guy on the list who answers his phones. So just make sure that, if you thought it was okay to call people back after 24 hours with the referral leads, unfortunately, that's not going to hold up with cold leads. You also want to make sure you have the email follow-up sequences in place, right? If you're lead gen, you might need to make sure that, your sales funnel is buttoned up. If you're e-commerce, you want to make sure that you have a system going for people who have bought from you to buy again, people that you guys know the basic sales funnel stuff, right? You need to make sure to kind of pull out all the stops, get your ducks in a row with your sales funnel, because if you don't, your competitors will. and what happens is you end up having to pay the same for a lead or a sale as your competitors do. So if they're making more on repeat sales, if they're making a higher average order value than you are, if their conversion rate is higher than you're still paying that same cost per click. So you kind of have to pull out all the stops before you run Google Ads. So lots to think about. The other thing is cost. Unfortunately, there is a little bit of a barrier to entry with Google Ads, right? You can't just kind of dip your toes in with $500 and see what you're going to be paying for a click or see what your return is going to be. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that because in our experience, it takes about 90 days and a minimum of at least $1,000 a month. Although if you have certain industries, I would say it's higher than 1,000. So 1,000 is a minimum, right? So if you have like a B2C product, maybe 1,000 is enough to start out with. But if you go to our help center, actually go to the help center at Solutions 8. It's help.sol8, SOL8.com, and search for budget. You'll see an article that talks about, what is the minimum budget that you guys recommend. So you don't want to set aside like a minimum of $3,000 because you want to also run it for about 90 days. Don't give up after 30 days. If you don't have the budget to run it for 90 days, you're not ready to start. Save up until you have 90 days worth of budget. The reason why is because for the first month or month and a half, it's just data collection, right? The algorithm has no idea when to show what to who, where, how, why, right? We don't either. So we're collecting all that data. Then the next 45 days is where we start to optimize. The algorithm optimizes, right? Because it catches some patterns of conversions. We start to optimize. We might change some settings here or there, try a different campaign, one that's not working, try a new one. And so that all takes time. So you can't just dip your toes in for 30 days. At the end of 90 days, I would look back at the most recent 30 days and try to see whether things are still getting better or whether they've plateaued. If they're still getting better, hopefully you have the budget to continue for a fourth month, right? If they have plateaued, then you have to decide whether to continue, which brings me to my next point. Goals. You need to have clearly defined your goals. If on day 90, you don't know whether or not you're close to hitting your goal or you're hitting your goal to be profitable, you're not going to know whether to continue or to hit pause. And if you hit pause, everything, all that data starts to get old, right? Everything kind of starts to die. So all the investment that you've put in, right? So you need to be ready with clearly defined goals. The biggest mistake I see people making is they don't know their goals. And so they just choose an exorbitant goal. Like we'll ask them, well, what kind of a return do you need? And they're like, I would like a 10X. No, you don't want a 10X. And so I have to explain to them why it's actually bad to have a goal that's too high. It's better to have a competitive goal, one that's not too high and not too low. If you have a goal that's too high, it's going to make you quit on day 90, or it's going to make you not increase your budget and scale your business when that's really the best thing for your business. It basically holds your business back from growth if you have a goal that's unrealistically high. Hi there, quick interruption. Do you know the main thing that prevents small business owners from getting their Google Ads account into a position to grow and scale? Budget. A lot of businesses, especially those that are just starting out, have limited budgets. And so because of this, they're turned away by most ad agencies because most ad agencies have minimum budget thresholds that they're willing to work with. So what happens is the business owners end up learning Google Ads themselves. And the problem with that is that most of the advice online is geared towards larger accounts. And the advice doesn't have any of those strategies or tricks that can kickstart the algorithm into giving a small account a leg up over larger competitors. So it often just doesn't work, and the business just ends up losing money month over month. If this sounds familiar, Starter PPC can help. We offer Google Ads management services that are designed for accounts that have between $1,000 and $5,000 budgets. And because all of our clients are just starting out, we've come up with ways to keep our management fees significantly lower than most agencies. Because we know that every dollar saved on management fees just goes towards the ad budget, which is going to help the algorithm gather speed and power. So if you're serious about growing your business and you'd like a team of Google Ads experts to help you without breaking the bank, check us out at starterppc.com. Okay, back to the video. I have an article all about this, and I will include it in the description of this video. It's another article on help.soul8.com. And if you want to go there and search for it, just search for the word MER, M-E-R. And it's probably the first one that shows up. It's what should my MER goal be and why? A couple of other things, just things to think about. Website speed. I can't tell you, like 95% of the new clients that we work with, we find that their website speed is not ideal. And unfortunately, Google will favor your competitors who have a fast website speed because Google is grading your landing page user experience. And so website speed is a huge part of that. If your website speed is slower than your competitors, you're going to ultimately have worse placements, worse rank, or you're going to have to pay slightly more for a click just to get as good of a rank, as good of a placement at the top of the page as them. These are the type of little sneaky behind the scenes things that will destroy your campaign. So website speed is very important. Also, Inventory. If you sell, inventory and also bandwidth, right? So oftentimes we get, for example, an e-commerce client, and we say to them, well, what are your best sellers? What are your high margin products? And they tell us their best sellers. They tell us their high margin products. We start running ads, and their best selling and high margin products go out of stock right away. Um, Similarly, well, let me pause there and just say this is bad because the algorithm is learning, right? It's learning about every SKU, every product individually. So if it sells 5 of them and then it goes out of stock, it's like you're starting at square one with that budget that was being spent and learned about that product. Now the algorithm has to go, oh God, let me start from square one and see what to do with this SKU. So the products that you know are going to sell well or that you want to lean into and invest in, get plenty of inventory on those before you get started, because those are going to start selling. You don't want to pull the rug out from the algorithm right away. The other thing too for lead generation businesses is oftentimes we start sending them phone calls and they can't answer the phones, or they say to us, oh, our contractors are booked up. Okay, well, just be prepared. If you're going to run Google Ads, you're going to start growing. So you want to also have the budget to invest in having a little bit of buffer in your bandwidth, right? Make sure that those people are ready to go to take those additional leads. Otherwise, you're wasting money investing in the ads. You don't want that to be a waste. So I think those are the main things. So give it a thought. If you have questions for us, you can head on over to starterppc.com, and there's a little chat bubble. You can ask us questions about all of this. We work with businesses that have budgets of $5,000 or less, and we've designed a service that is affordable for businesses that are just starting out. So check us out. The main way that we make it affordable is we don't offer any meetings. And it seems to work out really well. We just have a support ticketing system. You do get a point of contact, one person who's with you consistently who works on your account. So you can ask them questions, send them as many questions as you want. You can send them videos. You can request videos from them. But we've made it we've made the service extremely affordable by cutting out meetings. And that's how we've been able to help small businesses get from $1,000 to $5,000 a month. Thanks for watching.
We're going to dive right in. And the topic for today, the discussion topic, is going to be MER, Media Efficiency Ratio. And what MER is, Media Efficiency Ratio, is, think of it like company ROAS. So all cash spend out on paid media versus all revenue in.